Let's do part 3, triggering and zooming to decode. So again, on the old 1054, once we selected the window, we need to zoom a little bit to get something useful. But before that, I will show you what I've done with the trigger edge triggering. To be able to, we'll do a stop at some point. Here's again an example of many packets with different time, different length. The hold off is set to 30 milliseconds, and the objective is to not trigger inside a packet. So if it's 20 milliseconds per division, so this one is about 30, this one is about 30, and also so it's become difficult at some point to trigger. But if it trigger here, it may trigger inside the remaining of the packet, so if you have to make careful of that, but that's a normal issue. Now that we got one packet on the display, we could clear a little bit the display, remove the grid, remove entirely the grid, keep it that way, and now we could zoom, which is called delay on the 1054. Zoom is on, and let me center and now try to decode this thing. So decode 1, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Decode 1, turn that on. So you have to select the baud rate from a list of pre-selected. Let's scan on this thing. You have to do polarity. This is reverse. The display is not showing that, but it's reverse. You could activate the timing to have correctly the which one you want. So if you define a receive, at some point you could define the transmit at the other channel. I'm not using that feature now yet. And since the fun is to decode in ASCII, because the stream is more cleaner than the other GPS, let's do that. And configure, you could add some label if you wish. Other than that, it's not that different with on. Let's go back. Decode number 2, decode on. And now we just need to zoom on the area where we want to decode. So the trick is to reduce the sampling, move some place where you want to decode, and the 1054 is again only decoding on the zoom area. It's not decoding at all on the top part, and that's a big limitation on this scope. And this is why, by the way, I sold this scope. This is no longer my scope, but I have to borrow it to demonstrate how it behaves. So we got about, again, 10, 12, 13 character maximum of decoding on the stream. This is transmit on the top and receive on the bottom. There is a slight delay between the answer and the echo coming back from the GPS. Let's try to do that now with the new scope 924. Same principle. You could see the trigger first. Let's go to the trigger. Trigger is here. And on trigger, I got a hold off. You could select directly the number, which is sorry, 30. Well, it's hard to work with the cursor in the same time as we holding the mouse and the phone. 30. Wow, 30 millisecond. Thank you. And now we have normal. The old scope has a tendency to switch to auto all the time. With that, we could work with run. And you could work with single with the button. Let's try to pick a equivalent character here. That's fine. And again, we could access the zoom. Either you push menu on the front, or you activate it here. Zoom, and you have the those small button here. So if you want to increase the area, you could also pick where you want to zoom. I have to select 2 times, so it's half the display, and increase the zoom until we see something. 1 millisecond. Let's move a little bit to the left. Just one more. Guess what would be equivalent with that. Okay. So we got something on the display. We could move each traces. It's weird to work with the cursor here. So we could maybe work with this instead, which is nicer. And work on the display also to remove some declutter for, I don't want a grid, remove the grid. So it's nicer. And then we activate the decode. On the 924 we got 4 decode. So I have selected first one here, activate that. You have to put, of course, the baud rate, polarity, and parity, stop bit, things like that. Label or not, label take a lot of space. Just for the fun, we'll activate 1. Hexadecimal for the first one. Second one, ASCII character, and you will see that it works. On. No label for this one. Decode number 3. Turn that on. Channel 1. Decode number 4. Let's play with channel number 2. Again, the rest of the parameter needs to be activated. Once you got that on your display, it's sort of crowded there. So let's try to move that to a meaningful place. Hard to work with a phone with your hands. So about that. Decode 1 is ugly because it has the label on it. Let's remove that. Decode 1. Decode 1. Label, turn that off. And then you put that here. And now we got something very interesting. And we clearly see that the ASCII decoding is working. Simply, the scope does not like character below 32. We got carriage return line feed. Maybe tab will work. I will probably try with a generator, something like a fast Arduino or something like that, just to verify which character is making the scope freeze. Well, not freeze, but having a lot of difficulty to decode the ASCII character. For the old GPS, there was 9.6 or so. It's a lot slower, but it was a mix between pure ASCII printable character and control character or numerical character. For the new GPS, they use a faster baud rate, but they since it's fast enough, they have enough information into a single set of ASCII character to transmit the same amount of information, basically the available satellite and the timing and things like that. So that's a compare. Let's make this one also run, and that gives you a demonstration of the ASCII decoding. We'll work next on the triggering.